Hello, Laverne here, and thank you for joining me. May this video be a blessing to you, and may it honor and glorify God in His kingdom. This is my second video in response to some YouTube drama focused around JezuzFreek777 and Itsthesuperfly. I'm going to include 3 links in the information part of this video. One is to my last video that I made responding to the drama. The second link is to the video that I'm responding to here. And a third link is to a video by a Christian who supports JezuzFreek. And he made a video that shows JezuzFreek interacting with his daughter. I believe this is important because Superfly has distorted the facts. And so if you were to watch JezuzFreek interacting with his daughter, showing just how loving they are and so on, you'd see that there's nothing to the accusations of the Superfly. Now, the accusation is that JezuzFreek is an unfit parent, that his children may be, their safety may be in question, and that social services should be called. He actually states that if he had the information for where JezuzFreek lives, he would call social services. So he actually is saying that they should be involved. This is absolutely ridiculous. And if you watch the 2 videos, the one of JezuzFreek interacting with his daughter and the one of the video of Superfly, you will see that he has simply taken everything out of context and that there's no truth in what he is saying. Now, this is all based on a video that JezuzFreek made in which he was asked a question. The question, and there's a clip of it in Superfly's video around the last 2-minute mark. It shows JezuzFreek explaining the question. And the question is this: if he knew with absolute certainty that there was no question about it, that God asked him to do the same thing that was asked of Abraham when he was asked to take the life of Isaac, his son, would JezuzFreek be able to do it? And the person asking the question explains that, we're talking now that there's no question, that is not simply a voice in your head, it's not psychosis, it's not the devil influencing you and so on. We know, and the assumption is that this is actually God asking you to do it. Would you do it? And JezuzFreek responded that he hoped he would have the strength and the faith to be able to obey God. Well, I applaud JezuzFreek for stating such. It is the correct answer. Now, a lot of people, a lot of Christians want to dance around the question. They try to sidestep it. They'll say things like, well, under the new covenant, God would never ask us to do something like that. It's simply not something I would ever be asked, and so no, I would not do it because I know that it's not God. But then they're not answering the question. The question specifically states that you know that it is God asking the question. Now, what atheists have done and what Superfly has done is taken the stance that it is simply just a voice hearing in your head, that it's psychosis, and that if he says he would do this, it shows that he can't be trusted with his children, because there might be that chance that, that day down sometime along the road when JezuzFreek might hear such a voice, and he might go and take the life of his daughter. It's absolutely ridiculous to state this. You are not basing this on the actual question. You are changing the question. You are coming from the assumption that there is no God and that it could not be God asking the question. But that wasn't the question. Stop condemning JezuzFreek for answering a question. Stop condemning him when you turn the question around to something else and coming from the assumption that there is no God and that he couldn't be hearing the voice. That wasn't the question. He was asked a hypothetical, philosophical, theological, loaded question. And because he had the guts to answer it rather than try to sidestep it, people are now twisting the question around as if he was asked, hey, if you heard a voice one day and you thought it was God asking you to take the life of your child, do you think you would do it? This is what people are responding to. They have completely turned the question around, or actually just ignored the question and taken his answer and twisted the answer, with having no regard whatsoever of the question and running with it, saying that Jesus Freak claims that if he heard a voice thinking it was God telling him to kill his child, he would do it. This shows absolute immorality among the atheist community. And in particular, Itsthesuperfly. It shows he has a hard heart, shows he has no character whatsoever, and that he is willing to go to great lengths to distort the facts in order to drag someone through the mud. That's exactly what he's doing. And he's even gone further now, because some people call him on this. In trying to defend himself, he's digging his heels in, and he has now brought up something that happened about 1.5 years ago, where there was a YouTuber, a Christian, supposed Christian YouTuber, who stalked and killed a woman. And he is now in his video saying, well, if we had information, if we knew that he was this kind of person, perhaps the woman's life could have been saved. And that's why he would now call social services on Jesus Freak. So he's trying to draw a parallel between this Christian who went out and killed a woman and Jesus Freak. But it's absolutely ridiculous. There is no parallel, no comparison to be drawn. He is distorting the question and the answer that Jesus Freak gave. Now, back when this happened, there were people who did a similar thing with Venom Fang X. Venom Fang X being a popular Christian. And this YouTuber who killed the woman, he claimed to be a fan of Venom Fang X. He made it known in his videos and comments that he supported Venom Fang X and so on. Well, there were atheists who made videos and comments that Venom Fang X was somehow to be held responsible, that there was something he could have done. Even though he didn't know this guy, somehow he was supposed to watch every video that anyone ever made of him, and he should have been able to see that this guy was psychotic and was going to go out and kill this woman. Well, it was absolutely ridiculous. But there are immoral atheists who have no character whatsoever that will try and drag people through the mud and make accusations that have no basis of truth. But they do it in part because they are attention whores. And that's exactly what Superfly is. He is an attention whore, trying to dredge up some drama and to drag a Christian through the mud. He hates Christians. He hates religion. And it doesn't matter how he does it. It doesn't matter if there's truth involved or lies or distortion or what. He will use whatever is at hand to drag someone through the mud. Which I guess is actually a good thing, because it now shines a light onto him and his channel. His horrible, distorted channel. A channel that is full of lies. This man, the only way I can think to describe it, has a mental disorder. At least that's what it appears. It seems like, and I don't know what the correct terminology would be, but it certainly seems like he has a form of hearing dyslexia. That being that when a video is made, or perhaps you hear someone speaking in person, they say one thing, but he hears something else. Somehow, from the time the words leave a person's mouth to when they hit his eardrum, or however it is that the words are interpreted, those words are twisted and turned and tumbled, some words left out, some words added, and he hears something entirely different from what is actually said. This is obvious from the video clip of Jesus Freak, where the question clearly states, unequivocally, it is God asking Jesus Freak to do this. But he turns it around that it's, Jesus Freak, if he was to hear a voice thinking maybe that it is God, he would definitely, without question, go out and kill his daughter. It's unbelievable the way he has twisted things. And so, for this reason, I would say there is a much closer parallel between Itsthesuperfly and the Tucson, Arizona shooter who killed 6 people and wounded the congresswoman. There's a much closer parallel between that shooter and the Superfly than what there is between the YouTuber who killed the woman and JezuzFreek. The reason is because both of these shooters, Superfly and this Tucson, Arizona shooter, both hated religion, both hated Christians. And, you know, because they have this hate on for a particular group of people, we can expect things like this to happen. There have been, in the last year and a half to 2 years, similar things where people have written letters stating how they hate Christians, hate God, hate religion, and then they have gone out and killed people. Well, as I said, there's a much closer parallel between someone like Superfly and these shooters than between JezuzFreek and the man who killed the woman. I am worried, much more worried, about someone like Superfly, who is unable to comprehend what he is hearing and who is willing to twist and distort the truth. I mean, if he's distorting these kinds of things in his mind, what's to stop him then from coming to conclusions that people are totally evil and need to be done away with? I really see very little difference between someone like him and the Tucson, Arizona shooter. He's over the top. There's no restraint. He's unable to restrain himself and to think logically and rationally. He's shown this. He claims to understand Scripture, and yet he fails to understand that in Hebrews 11:17-19, we are told why Abraham did what he did. And if Christians understood this as well, they would realize that the answer JezuzFreek gave is the right answer. That in the case of Abraham, he believed that if Isaac did die, that God would bring him back to life. He had this faith in God. That even though he was being asked to do this act, he trusted that God would, because he's all good and all loving, that he had a reason for asking Abraham to do it, and that he would bring Isaac back to life. So there was a reason Abraham had faith, and we as Christians should have the same kind of faith. But it has to be understood. The question directed to JezuzFreek, and the same thing with Abraham. Abraham knew without doubt, without question, it was God who was asking him to do this. JezuzFreek, the question asked of him is that he knew without doubt, without question, that it was God. This is why I say that these atheists jumping on JezuzFreek, they're just showing their such low character, such lack of character and immorality. It shows that they would rather let their hate and their anger towards Christians dictate and distort what it is that they are hearing and saying. Alright, as always, I look forward to comments and messages. Till next time, peace and blessings.